Courtney.
And welcome to our poster presentation on our chosen resource, The Rabbits, by Sean Tan and John Marthen. This morning we are going to begin by looking at our identify and describe. So we selected this resource as it promotes and provides a rich, authentic view on positive cultural awareness. It paints an allegory of the two events, the first settlement and the stolen generation, in which it becomes an ideal resource to implement into the Year 4 classroom. Year 4 is the beginnings of the teaching of the first settlement, where students are to engage deeply with the critical and emotional multifaceted understandings embedded within the text. This resource allows us to follow a democratic education where students develop excitement and wonder into critically evaluating the meaning behind the resource. It fuels students' curiosity with the world where they are to research and compose the meanings, developing their own cultural and critical awareness skills. So we have taken ethical considerations into focus when choosing this resource. So this includes being conscious of our own students' cultural backgrounds, as some may resonate closely with the representation of historical events. So children are given the opportunity to explore the concept of social justice that was once considered a taboo subject. We have many connections with the Western Australian curriculum and the national curriculum, as well as the historical skills scope and sequence. So we make connections with the civics and citizenship, geography, history, humanities and social sciences, analysing and inquiry skills. So now I'll bring you over to Courtney.
Alright, so I'm going to go through with you guys the explain section of our poster. Okay, so if you want to open that one up for you, Amanda. So we chose the rabbits as it provides a foundation for positive awareness and also a critical democratic pedagogy, which is about educating students into developing cultural respect, critical and creative awareness, and most importantly, a voice. So the rabbits can be used in the classroom through a multitude of pedagogical values and strategies, which include participatory, affective, problem posing, situated, multicultural, desocialising, democratic, researching, interdisciplinary and activist. So I'm going to integrate a few of these ones together. So our first section is problem posing through research, inquiry and curriculum integration. Dewey states that problem posing underlies the basic human instinct of curiosity, which educators must foster for continued intellectual development. So these values can be achieved through De Bonier's theory of the 6 thinking hats, which is basically a strategy for questioning, which gets students to critically evaluate events and topics. So specifically in the classroom, that can be used through initiating a collaborative investigation into the reasons why the Anglo-Saxons resided in Australia and why Indigenous Australians felt angry and upset about the first settlement. So next section is participation, interactions, civic engagement and social actions. So Piaget advocates for an interactive pedagogy as knowing and intelligence stems from actions. Dewey broadens this concept by stating that participation is the point in which democracy and learning meet in the classroom. So thus this text can be a catalyst for inquiry by encouraging critical democratic dialogue, questions and research to generate different critical accounts of the event of the first settlement. Students can then collate this information to create action plans for the arrival of the white settlement in Australia that aims to shape a more positive community and future for everyone. This consequently is getting students to activate Bloom's affective domain, valuing, where students attach value and worth to Australians' Indigenous culture through a democratic process of sensitivity and propose plans for social improvement. The last one on this one here is a multicultural examination through multiple ways of knowing. So the resource can provide situated learning that examines societal cultures, traditions, stereotypes and bias, and fosters multiple ways of knowing. So stereotypes and bias are actually social constructs held about the other. So in the text, the other are referred to as the rabbit, which sets a foundation for a proactive theme that explores unresolved social issues within the community. So this resource can facilitate examination of immediate parts such as books, television shows and films to reflect on the influence and predominance of a white society. Students can then design a project that looks at changing choices demonstrated in a multimodal text that positively promotes multiculturalism. Through this process, students are experiencing multiple ways of knowing associated with Bloom's taxonomy, such as comprehension, application, responding and valuing. Thanks.
So now we come across to the critique of our chosen resource. So when critiquing the rabbits, we are using the following elements: hidden curriculum, overt and covert messages, democratic education, cultural diversity and Indigenous ways of knowing, and last but not least, the critical awareness and reasoning. So, together these elements work to break down the social constructs that are conveyed within the text. So, the hidden curriculum, the text portrays a taboo subject area where many educators will have constructed their own norms, values and beliefs, in which these can be transmitted across in the deliverance of this resource, where it is infecting the students' own values, norms and beliefs of the text. We unintentionally, with this resource, students are thinking and questioning about these historical events that have shaped the identity of Australia today. The rabbits causes us to inadvertently teach with multifaceted understanding, resulting in students' development of their emotional and intellectual awarenesses. Overt and covert messages within the resource. So, when teaching these resources, educators will overtly teach by emphasising cross-cultural awareness and understanding. As educators, we are consciously aware of students' virtual school bags, where we accommodate to individual students' needs. This resource is essentially touching on events that students' grandparents and parents may have been a part of, for which this resource can become personal. Overtly with this resource, we are teaching about some of Australia's historical events. In this instance, we are teaching about a topic that was once overtly taught due to its taboo connotations. The Stolen Generation was once an event that occurred in Australian history that Australians believed they did not do anything wrong. So over time, this has changed. So now we do believe that we had done something wrong, so we're teaching this to students so that they don't make the same mistakes as we have. Cultural diversity and Indigenous ways of knowing. For educators and students to understand and accept cultural diversity and Indigenous ways of knowing, they firstly need to develop their own cultural competencies and responsiveness. The resource provides the means to do this through knowledge on Indigenous Australian culture and assimilates new competencies. The text can encourage respect of culture while diminishing the idea of us and them. The text embeds the idea that history is unfinished and transformable due to its relevance to our future today. Students are encouraged to take an activist response that desocialises traditional behaviours and thoughts. Democratic education. The resource follows a democratic education pedagogy as it aims to concern students with the injustice and asymmetrical power inflicted upon our Indigenous people. The resource allows for discussions, awareness and understandings of the multifaceted complexities of the events that have shaped Australia today. And last but not least, we have our critical awareness and reasoning. In order for students to become critically aware, students firstly need to look into their own points of view, acknowledge their own knapsack of privileges. This involves students gaining an insight into where they are positioned in society. The text can expose students to three socialising qualities for critical awareness. These qualities help expose social behaviours and experiences that make people who they are. So firstly, we have power awareness. This is gaining an understanding of human actions make society. So students can use the text to reflect on Western societal influences that have ultimately governed socially accepted values, norms and beliefs. Critical literacy is our second one. So this is going beneath the surface of the resource to address cultural traditions, ideologies and consequences of the first settlement. And last but not least, we have permanent desocialisation, using questions and actions to challenge the status quo, inequalities and social values to create a democratic change. Through implementing these qualities into children at a young age can result in them changing cultural understandings and implementing equality at a macro level.
Alright, so our last section that we just have here is our ideas and strategies. So we've talked about a few different classroom strategies that we have used throughout our poster. So these ones are in here, which include the De Bono's theory of the six thinking hats, collaborative investigations, interactive pedagogical strategies, collaborative action plans, examination of immediate parts, which is your films and your books and everything like that, your projects, and also inviting specialist speakers, family members and others to the classroom to create more monoculture awareness. Okay, so before we finish up here, is there any questions that any of you have for us? No? Okay, alright, well thanks so much guys for listening. and hope you have a great day.